Start off with it was grinding out crazy game with the weather, rain delay, all the things that came with it. Again, as we look at the tape, I thought we all three phases contributed. All three phases can get better. That's kind of the key. Is now to look back at that game and evaluate it today. And we watched the tape this morning with the kids, and so that process is not quite yet put to bed. We'll do some corrections on the field this afternoon, but we'll look at the good and the average and the bad, and get better as coaches and get better players to help the kids continue to grow, and they will. They're excited, but it was a big victory to be 2-0 in conference, and I think it's just those first two conference games for us. If you look back at them, and there's so many plays that either way can flip that game in our favor or, quite frankly, against us. And in those three tight ball games, including Wake Forest, that we've had, there's exactly what's taken place. And we've made enough plays to win two of those three games. Unfortunately, those are both our two conference games. So there's more of those coming. This is an extremely competitive conference. The Mountain West is a very, very good conference this year with a bunch of real good teams that all are on the same mission to obviously get to the special place at the end of the year and be playing those big games in November. So proud of the kids. We'll look forward. It was great for David and great for Savon to get those the recognition that they got. Defensive Player of the Week, Special Teams Player of the Week, well-deserved in my opinion, and they got some good competition because I'm sure there's some other great performances out there last week that they were against, so congratulations to those kids. Moving to LSU, a big challenge, obviously. They're a great football team. Battling like crazy to keep themselves in that top four spot wherever they're at. To me, on film, they appear to be there where they should be. They're very talented, played very, very well. Great athletes, well coached. It'll be a tremendous challenge, and it'll be we're walking into an early morning kickoff, which is, I believe, a good thing for us. Let's get over there and get the game and hop into it and play early, which I like that opportunity to be able to play an early kickoff, and it'll be a great place to play for our kids. It's a once in a lifetime. This team gets to fly across the country and go play these guys in that setting and play a team that's that high nationally ranked, and obviously a fan base that has a lot of fans and very good fans. It'll be very loud. One of the big things for this game is we're going to practice in 50-degree weather this week, all week long, and it's going to be 95 and probably humidity very, very high in that situation. So that will be our challenge, to make sure we hydrate, get ourselves where we need to be in those positions, those spots. And we may be used to that in August, but we're not used to that now. So it'll be potentially a 40, 50-degree swing in the temperature from what we're used to playing in for this week of practice. So that'll be something our kids need to keep their eye on, and we need to, and trainers and everything, to make sure we get ourselves ready to play the football game. So great opportunity, excited to start preparing.
Last week we were talking about how we thought we were done seeing kickoffs maybe in college football.
We were wrong.
We were wrong. The question is he catches it almost 7 yards deep. Had you already committed that you were going to return it no matter what, or is that all on him, or what? Because it looked like you had blocking already set up and everything for that.
Well, if you heard what I said on the headset when he started to bring it out, I didn't think he was going to turn around and bring it out. And the funny thing is, a few of the kids around me heard what I said, and I just basically said, I can't believe we're bringing that ball out right now. And the next thing I know, the Red Sea opened. But that was the plan. Coach Collins had definitely coached it that way. And, he teaches them, he coaches them to be aggressive. And that call is really, if Savon feels in that opportunity, Coach Collins has the ultimate trust in him to make a good decision. And the blocking is not going to change whether how deep they feel it is. They're trained to go block like crazy. And Savon's going to make that decision. And then his off-returner is going to help him make the decision, So they saw the green light, they took the green light, and I was wrong and they were right in a big way. So that was a good thing.
I mean, Lavelle puts that one blocker almost right at your feet.
Yes.
On that.
It was. That was a nice block, and there was a lot of great blocks on that play. It was the kids were fanatical effort, and he's just special. There's just. Kids make those plays in certain situations. He's very comfortable in that setting. He loves that position. He loves to be able to go make those plays, and he did a tremendous job. And I would go back to that. It's much like Woody is 2 times now. Woody's grabbed the ball from a guy and scored touchdowns. One time, obviously, it wasn't a touchdown, but in this game, it was an absolutely huge play. And you don't coach that stuff. That just happens from special players making special plays, and it's awesome when they can get that done.
I'm just curious. I mean, what specifically do you do to prepare a team for a 10 a.m. game?
We had quite a few of them at Wisconsin, and nothing really. It's early. We know it's going to be early. Our kids are used to getting up, and they'll eat breakfast, and we'll line up and go play. So it is an early kickoff for us, but we've had practices that are early. We have off-season workouts and conditioning that's early. I don't think it'll be we'll talk about it and make sure they're prepared for it. We'll get them to bed a little bit earlier that night, which, the clock's back an hour, so that helps them. But we won't travel any different. We'll land and get to the hotel, eat dinner, and spend some time together as a team and give the kids a chance to be able to get with their family members if they're there, give them a couple hours to spend some time with their families, which obviously they won't get on Saturday. And we'll jump out of bed bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 6 o'clock, 6:30, whenever that is, and go eat breakfast and have a quick walkthrough and jump in and throw on the pads and away we go. So nothing over the top really different.
After the kickoff return from Savon, they said the heck with it, we're just going to pooch it the rest of the way. Do you change the way what guys you have on the kickoff return after that, knowing you probably want your best hands team on there, just in case?
No, again, Coach Collins didn't really change the personnel. The one time we put G. Bright back there to catch him and see if we could catch him a little bit. And we'll have some potential tweaks to that in certain situations. If they give us a window, there's things you can try to be able to get on blockers earlier. And again, I think our kids are very, very well trained in those special team situations to adapt their blocking schemes to the kick, because they actually can see the kick when it goes over their head. They have an idea of where it's going. Is it going to the left or to the right? You can see just the demeanor of the kicker. It's different if he's trying to pound it out of the end zone or kick a deep ball rather than pooch it up there. He's definitely winding up different, and his approach to the ball is different. So there's some coaching going into that. And we'll still try to be aggressive as we can in that position. But the biggest thing is when you pop it up in that scenario, you don't want to put a kid in harm's way of just saying, hey, catch the ball and get smacked the second you catch the football. You want to be able to give them an opportunity to either fair catch that ball with good field position or catch it and have a couple blockers and potentially get great field position.
Besides Bright and Woodward, who else really stood out from this game individually? Leverage, obviously, I thought really played well. It looked like
Troy and Baker were our defensive players of the game, and they both played extremely well. The play that Baker makes, and we talk all the time about, and I won't stop talking about it because it's so important. It was a 60-yard sprint to recover a fumble. That's an amazing football play. And that wasn't just that play that made him player of the game or co-player of the game, I suppose, and that for this week, but he played at a very high level. But those are potential season-changing plays, not just game-changing plays, possible season-changing plays. And when it's as tight as it is in that scenario, it's tied up right there. Cam keeps fighting to get the ball out in that situation. Ball lands on the ground, and we end up getting it. So those two kids I thought played really well. Troy was physical. He was down in the box more this week, made some big plays for us. It was great to see. Tipa, again, I think continues to play better and just has more opportunities to make some plays, and he's taking advantage of those scenarios and those situations. And then, G. Bright, 179 yards, longest run 15 yards. Come on now. That's a tough young man battling for those yards and just grinding it out. And Jalen was hurt, and so he had to keep on going and plugging when he was extremely tired and kept playing. And, there's more. I don't want to leave kids out. Caleb, I think, played his best game overall, and from what the offensive coaches have told me and from an assignment standpoint and everything that comes with that, he obviously had a big touchdown. So there were some tremendous individual efforts in all three phases that, gave us an opportunity to win a tough ball game in tough conditions.
Last week I said to you, I thought Jordan Love played one of his better games against San Diego State and didn't throw a touchdown. What was you guys' evaluation of Jordan this week?
Well, as always, with the reflection back on the quarterbacks, when he throws a pick, it's, why did he throw a pick? There's a lot that goes into that. Jordan was very competitive. When he needed to use his legs, he used his legs in an extremely positive way for us to move the chains, keep the ball going. His demeanor was extremely good. He stayed in the moment, and he did everything he could to help us turn around and win a football game that was not the greatest of conditions. Quarterbacks don't wake up in the morning on game day and say, I hope it's raining sideways, and, catching the ball and, fielding the ball and all those things that come with it become very difficult. So we thought he played good and definitely gave us an opportunity to win the game. And, Jordan is he's our guy, man. As we go, as he goes, we go, and it's going to be like that, especially with the type of offense we've run. He made some big plays to again allow us a chance to win.
Tackling's always going to be important, but these guys are averaging 15 yards a catch. So just how much of a premium is it going to be for your secondary to wrap up in the open field?
Yeah, it's a big deal in this game. Speed and space, is something that we talk about all the time. And again, it's at some point in speed and space, the coaching is over, and we do all we can to help them get in those spots. But running to the football, having more than one guy around the football as much as we possibly can, and having those kids be able to get an eye on the ball and be able to close it down and try to keep them in a phone booth instead of give them a third of the field to be able to make you miss. And it's hard for any position group or any single player to tackle a guy when there's a bunch of grass out there. That's what that offense is designed to do. That's what our offense is designed to do is, get people in space and make a miss once you get the ball in their hands. And it's not just their wide receivers, it's the running backs who are very, very talented. They're strong, powerful kids. They have the ability to make you miss. And, it's you throw on that film and, basically the offense starts the game and it seems like it's all of a sudden it's like 35 to whatever the score is really, really quickly, and they score awful fast. So it's just, you've got to be able to hopefully find a way to try to confuse the quarterback a little bit. He's a very talented player. He's been in this thing for a long time and has done a lot of good things, but try to just get him off his just absolutely knowledge of, okay, I've seen this on film 35,000 times, and here we go, and it's the way it's been for me and how I'm taught to be able to do it. And then, you have to tackle well. And it's a big, strong, physical offensive line. So you have to earn your right with those guys also. So, they're not who they are, and they're not ranked where they are because they're not deserving. There's not a bunch of chinks in their armor where you sit there and say, okay, well, we're going to exploit this guy. You're going to have to earn your right in all phases.
You're going to be asked about Dave Aranda this week, obviously. Dave Aranda was fired, I think, at Hawaii before you hired him. Can you talk about when you hired him and then now going against him and Bill Bush and some of these guys down there?
Yep. Corey's there too. So 3 of the guys on the defensive staff at LSU have been here at Utah State and really got a good start here, or a good fresh start here, however we're going to look at it, at Utah State, and catapulted them to where they are today, which is awesome to see. But with Dave, specifically, Dave was at Hawaii, and we obviously coached against Hawaii that year. And Coach McMacken, who I had known for a long, long time, was the head coach at Hawaii. And when we had an opportunity for a defensive coordinator, I was looking around asking people about defensive coordinators. I had met Dave at a camp in Hawaii, high school camp, and we spent 3 or 4 days at a camp together coaching D-line and just, kind of exchanging back and forth, and didn't know him at all other than that. But those 3 days were big. Coach McMacken said, Gary, there's one guy you need to hire, and it's Dave Aranda. And so I got to talk to Dave, spent some time with him. And at that point, we were in a transition. We were in a transition from a 4-down front moving to a 3-down front. That's the days when, it's the same deal you do every year. You get your best 11 players. Well, we had, you had Kyler and you had those guys and you had the Vigils and, had a lot of outside linebacker type kids. So we wanted to get into the odd front. And he hadn't really done it. He was a 4-down quarters guy, and we were a 4-down middle close cover 3-man team. But we wanted to develop, and so Derek Oldham, another guy who has ties here, we came together and started communicating and talking about the odd front. And Dave's just done a tremendous job from that point on of just evolving, the odd front, the even front, using his guys. He does it all now. He does some down, even front, odd front stuff. But he was awesome for me at Wisconsin. And he's had his opportunities. He's taken advantage of his opportunities. And Bill's done the same thing, and Corey's been there for a long time at LSU, and now all 3 of those guys are together. But Dave's a great coach, very good person, great family man. I'm happy for him, and I'm glad we were able to give him that opportunity. But he took advantage of that opportunity at the end of the day. He had some great defenses here. He's had great defenses at Wisconsin, and obviously at LSU he's had some great defenses. So great person and a great coach, and I'm happy for him and his family for what's going on.
Coach, your depth chart seems to get thinner by the week, it seems. And I was wondering, do you guys prioritize your depth chart and by position before the season, or is that a week-by-week basis because you just don't know what's going to happen?
Yeah, it's
I don't know if that makes sense.
yeah. Well, you should set your depth chart at the end of camp for what you've got, right? And hopefully you come out of camp as healthy as you can be. And that's one of the biggest challenges. And it's you never want to see kids get hurt. You never want to see kids get injured. But you always try to massage your depth chart to, put you in a position to be able to win football games. And sometimes that's easier than others. Some places you're more gifted with talent or depth, if you will, than other positions, but it's something that you can't control. And when we are here, we pride ourselves on being a developmental program, so we're not going to have the depth, and I don't think anybody in our conference would sit back and say, oh, well, we just have this amazing depth. That there's a lot of young guys that are developing. There's a lot of young guys that are getting their tails in the weight room this time of year and need to gain whatever. An offensive lineman may need to gain strength and 20 pounds before he's able to even have a chance to compete, but he's athletic. And so his goal is to close the gap as he goes through time. Well, that might give us 8 healthy offensive linemen or 8 offensive linemen we feel good about, or quite frankly, sometimes maybe 7. That's just the way it is. That's the same with every position. So you base it off every week. You kind of tweak it as needed. But we'd like to keep them all healthy. But that game last week was a physical game. It was a physical game against physically a good-looking, tough outfit in Colorado State. They play hard and they battle regardless of the situation that they're in. And that's I think we'd all know as we sat there and watched that game. That team does not reflect their record right now, and I expect them to win a bunch of games as they go through the year. It wouldn't surprise me a bit.
David Woodward obviously had, as you mentioned, a great game. You've coached a lot of great talent throughout your coaching career. How much of that can be based on experience, and how much can be based on film study?
Oh, I think it's all inclusive. It's God-given ability. It's the care factor for him to practice the right way, to have film study the right way. There's nothing like being in the moment and doing something over and over again and getting good at it, whether it's sports or whether it's your job or whether it's getting an education. All those things tie into it, and David has a huge care factor in all those areas, and that's what I think really allows him to be able to make the plays he does. And David has his own style. He plays within his style. And I credit Coach Enna for allowing David to play in that style. And David's he's more like Bobby Wagner. Bobby was a little bit, I don't want to say a freelancer, but he was going to do some things that normally on the board you might not say, well, you're supposed to be here, but you were over there and you made this play. And his instincts are a big part of playing linebacker, and we try to build a lot of the defense around his abilities to be able to use his instincts. We just don't want him to be just be on a train track and you're the A-gap player every single time and you got to get there whether the ball goes there or not. And so I think that Coach Enna and David have worked together to kind of allow his game to be played with his natural ability, his instincts, but his care factor daily is huge to be a really good football player.
What is Joe Burrow really like, their quarterback? I mean, he looks like he's really the real deal and exactly what they needed.
Yeah, got experience, obviously. I think he's very, very at home and at peace and really likes the offense that he's running. He loves the RPOs. He more so than anybody we've played this year, even more so than Wake Forest. Wake Forest was that little different style which we saw, which is very effective, but this guy he's going to stick that ball in there and really look and see, and has just tremendous trust in pulling the ball and throwing it late on some of the RPOs to let them open up. You can take windows of RPOs away with different things, and again, I try not to get too technical in these discussions, but there's opportunities to take windows away early, but then they're going to come open later, and then there's to take them away later, but they're going to be open early. And he does a really nice job of playing that chess match, if you will, with the defensive backfield and with the defense as a whole as far as the RPOs. He throws a deep ball nice. He gives his wide receivers an opportunity to make plays. And he's also athletic enough to get himself out of trouble. There was teams have tried a lot of different things against him. They tried pressure against him, and I would say that's been probably the least effective part for the defenses. He's carved up pressures and really given his skill players a chance to catch the ball in space, and that has not gone well. Texas and some other teams have tried to drop 8 a lot, And that's where the chess match comes in. Can you get him off his point with the three-man rush and causing some problems, or is he going to sit back there for 5 or 6 seconds and with a really good old line and still have the ability to pick you apart? So he's a great fit for what they do. He's a great quarterback, and he's surrounded by obviously extremely talented kids.
Their defense, they've had 19 different players account for 25 tackles for loss and 12 for their 11 sacks. I mean, how impressive is their depth defensively, and how hard is the game plan for?
Yeah, it's all difficult with these dudes. Again, you don't look out there and say, hey, there's just an average guy. We can work to take advantage of him. So they fly around, they play hard, they have high expectations to play great defense every single week, and I think that their plan is you just don't see a bunch of missed assignments, you don't see a bunch of errors, you don't see a lack of communication for the most part. They're used to playing against a fast-paced offense, which that probably helps them. It'll help them against us, I'm sure, because playing fast is not something that they're not used to. Hopefully we can get into those situations sometimes and cause some confusion. That's always the goal. They'll have the same goal for us, but they got they're freshmen walk in there and they're ready to play, right, for the most part.
Does the
physically.
defense look like it used to look at Wisconsin, or has he completely gone different ways?
There's some similarities. They always, but he will definitely, depending on where he is for the year, where he's going to be. He still likes a lot of the odd front things. It's I haven't watched again that much of it. That'd probably be a question more for the offensive guys. But I know they're still playing a lot of the tight front. But they'll play some even things, and they do a nice job of mixing it up and changing things week in and week out, but yet staying within their structure. And I'm sure after a bye week they'll have a couple things for us to be able to deal with. So.
I thought we played well. Yeah, we played well enough to win. There's obviously we left some stuff out on the table that we should have picked up and just executed better at it. And yeah, I mean, we played good enough to win the game, but we obviously got to play better this upcoming week and the following weeks after. It's only going to get tougher from here on out. So we just got to pick it up in practice and just really focus on what we need to execute more. And yeah, that's pretty much.
Can you talk about your touchdown play, how that would work? What are your remembrances back now, even watching the film, and how it worked out?
Well, I just thought it was just the safety was just giving me a soft coverage, so I just went inside and around him, and then Jordan looked back at me and he just threw it up, and I just went up and grabbed it, just made a play on it, just doing my job. Yeah, that's just like that. Yeah, I just like going up for the jump ball and stuff. So yeah.
It's always good to break the ice with your first touchdown. Does that mean something to you or whatever for the year?
Yeah, but getting my first touchdown of the year was pretty fun. I've been waiting for it for a while, but it finally came around, so I was just being patient and just letting the plays come to me and everything. So, but yeah, it was pretty fun to get it. I remember that one.
At Utah, you played against a lot of big-name teams. You got LSU this weekend. I mean, just looking back at your collegiate career, where does these guys rank among the most talented teams that you've played or will have played?
Yeah, they're definitely. I mean, you can't discredit LSU. They're definitely one of the best teams in the country, and talent-wise, they're probably one of the best teams I've played throughout my career and everything. So I mean, it's gonna be a fun matchup and everything. But just like any team on any Saturday, they can be beat. So we're gonna go out there and we're gonna do our best to execute our plays and just focus on what we need to focus on, and just take our shot when we can and just wait back and just hopefully wait for them to make a mistake and just capitalize on it and just go from there. We're not going to be intimidated by them or anything, so we're just going to go out and make our plays and stuff. So yeah.
What have you found out about Jordan Love as a quarterback since you've been here, or as a player?
He's not scared to throw the deep ball. He's done it several times to different players. So I mean, it's fun when you have a quarterback that's not scared to throw it up. So, and you just can go down there and it's up to you to make a play, and that's the best feeling when you got the opportunity to go make a play and be able to impact the game in a big way like that. So, it's fun when you got a quarterback that likes doing that and stuff.
Mariner last week talked about his experience of what brought him to Utah State during the transfer portal situation. Could you go into detail about your experience as well, just leaving Utah and deciding to come to Utah State and why?
The experience, I mean, it wasn't really much of an experience. It was just, I just went in the portal, and then Coach A hit me up, and Coach Roderick hit me up, and then some other schools hit me up, but I wasn't really, they wanted me to stay at defensive end. I wasn't really trying to do that. I was just trying to go back to offense, and then, I had a relationship with Coach A and Coach Roderick, so I took them, so I just, focused on them, too, a little bit, and then Coach A was just I just like Coach A. That's my guy. So I just went with him. So, yeah, I like Coach A.
But he's a defensive line coach. I mean, he prompts you to play tight end.
Yeah. I mean, he knew. I think, he knew what I can do. He knew I was a receiver. He knew I wasn't really much of a defensive end. So, I mean, I can hold my own, but yeah, I was better. I'm just better suited for the offensive side of the ball and everything. So, yeah, that's my guy. Yeah.
Did you play in high school? Did you play both sides of the ball, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I played a little bit of defensive back and receiver and stuff. I didn't play defensive line or anything. But yeah.
So, but going into college, were you always I want to be an offensive guy, or did you even have a choice, or what was this?
Well, they were telling me that I could play defensive line, there was a possibility, because they had Nate Orchard and everything. They thought I could be something like that, but no, he's something else. So.
Wasn't there even talk in the preseason that you might play once in a while, maybe defense or in a rushing situation or something, maybe?
Yeah, we talked about it. I just got I just got to focus more on the offensive side and stuff, and just focus more on my plays and everything on the offensive side. So I think that'll probably come around later, but as of right now, I don't think so much, because I mean we got the defensive line is doing. They don't really need me. So, yeah.
Did you ever go to the OC at Utah and just say, why aren't you guys using me as a tight end or on the offensive side? Did you ever wonder?
Not too much. I mean, a little bit, but I mean, I like the D line. That's why the D line was just fun to be around and everything. So I mean, not playing and being on that side of the ball, it was just, I don't know. I wasn't too mad about it, but I mean, I was satisfied, but I knew for my last year I wanted to do more, at least try and get one good year of college football in, so that's why I wanted to go back to offense side.
As a tight end, we always feel that the tight end is matched up in pass a lot of times either with a safety or linebackers. When you play against an LSU, you're going to probably play fast, really fast guys. Does that make it hard to get open with speed against you, or would you rather have more, or you can get open more against the bulk than the speed, or whatever?
I just look at all the defensive coverages as just as different coverages. I don't really look too much into who would be a matchup, because as you said, you play against tight end or linebackers and safety, so you never really get a consistent matchup. But as far as their speed, I'm not really too worried about it, just because I don't think it would totally affect my game as a whole. So I don't feel I need to be too worried about them changing my game or anything. Just if anything, just how fast they would get on me when I catch the ball. They would just swarm faster to the ball. So I mean, but other than that, I don't think it would change too much of my game or anything.
And as a tight end, you were 40 yards downfield to catch the touchdown. I mean, a lot of times we don't think of tight ends 40 yards. Does our offense always have that in it?
Yeah, I mean, because both of our tight ends, me and Carson, we can both go downfield pretty well and everything. We can stretch the field in different ways. So I mean, our offense is set up for to stretch the field and everything, and then to get it out fast and stuff. So that's what we like to do and focus on offense.
At Utah, obviously you got to play some big venues. LSU Stadium, that's a pretty big venue there. What do you tell some of the other guys, or how do you help some of the other guys prepare for an environment like this?
Shoot, I don't know. I just it's just another game, you just got to go out there and you just got to like this last game we thought we were gonna play in front of nobody. So I mean, but you still got to treat it like it's another game. You know, if it's anybody, if it's nobody, or like however much Death Valley holds, you just got to go out there and just play your game and everything. But I don't really know what I would say to him too much.
Were you then amazed that the students and everybody stayed around like this?
Yeah, that was real crazy. I really didn't think nobody would show up, but to have like that support from the student section, that was cool. I like that.
Where does that weather rank in regard to your collegiate playing career?
I think I forgot what year it was, but we were up at Washington in Seattle, and then like it was raining sideways. It was crazy. And it was cold. It was. I know it's only September here, but it was pretty cold then. It was like October, and it was raining sideways, and it was right on the water too, so it was pretty cold there. But I think I'll probably have my coldest game here eventually.
What have you seen out of this LSU defense? Have you been able to watch any film on the LSU defense, and what have you seen out of them so far?
Yeah, I watched the Texas game against them, and they're a sound defense. They don't really make too many mistakes, and they got good players, and you just really gotta just find the holes in it, and every defense has its hole. Sorry, every defense has its holes, so you just gotta find it and just take advantage of it, and just it's really just you can't really focus too much on what they're doing. You just gotta focus more on what you're doing, because if you try to play to their strengths, it's just not going to work. That's what they're just going to beat you that way. So you just got to play to your strengths.
All right. I feel like we got put in a couple compromising positions, field-wise, in the beginning, in the first half. I felt like we battled, we fought, we bend, but we didn't break. And I felt like throughout the course of the game, it showed, and towards the third and the fourth quarter, we were able to get the victory. And I'm proud of our defense and how much we overcome. And that's just a testament to our coaches and what we do in practice and the culture that we have around here.
What were you battling with? What injury before you could really start playing these last couple of games?
I battled with a muscle. It was a muscle. I had pulled a muscle in my calf, right behind my hamstring, so in that area right there. So it was kind of tough for me to run full speed. So I just was going to practice, just rehabbing it, just testing my limits every day until I could finally go about 85 to 90%. So that's what I was battling with.
How neat is it for a defensive guy to make the kind of play like you do, to knock a ball away from a guy after he's caught it in a big play? It looks like it's going to be for them, and then you negate that away. What does that feel like? Go through that play a little bit.
Well, I felt like during that moment, I felt like they were trying to get the ball rolling on their offense. They weren't really doing too well in the run game, and I felt like they needed to take a shot. So I worked a technique where I just press bail, and basically I just read the quarterback's eyes. So when he threw the ball, I lost track of it, and I was trying to go intercept it, but I didn't get it. And then I just played the odds with the weather. Like, if I put my hands in here, it's wet. What are the odds of you coming down with this? And that was just a play. I just wanted it more than the wide out, and I made the play, and the ball came out, and that was a real amazing play. I'll never forget that play.
Really did do a good job against that Auburn transfer, especially in the second half. I mean, he was one of the highest recruited wide receivers in the country coming out of high school. So how much did playing against him help prepare you for what you're going to be facing this week against LSU?
Well, I think he was a great wideout. I think it's a great experience for a person to go versus these more higher tier guys. And I think just me growing up, I just always were the underdog. So when I train and practice, I treat every wide receiver, every person I go versus, as if they're the best wideout I ever faced. So me going versus the Auburn transfer, I just prepared for him like I prepared for anybody else, whether it be a 5-star or maybe a 2-star coming out of high school, because it really doesn't matter. Now it's just more of a matchup, who really wants it. So I came out on top.
Well, this group supposedly, other than Alabama's, is supposed to be the second best wide receiver group in the country at LSU. So you got them all over the field too, those kind of guys.
Yeah, well, I've been watching them, and they're an amazing group of wideouts. But I feel like Logan has an amazing group of cornerbacks as well. So we probably don't get as much recognition as these higher tier programs. But I feel like the culture that we build around here is we live for these moments. So it'll be an amazing matchup to see us go versus them. And whatever results may be, we'll still be swinging. And whoever we play, that's just the model that we carry. So, yeah.
You know, Troy Leffridge had like a big gash in his arm bleeding and one in his knee. Gerald Bray had a gash in his knee as well, and he would bleed. Is that one of the more physical games that you've been a part of? Last week against Colorado State?
Yeah, they're a very physical team, and we are too. So we knew what we were getting ourselves into. So it just goes into this whole like culture that we build as a defense and offense, that we're really like hard and tough and blue collar. So like you get a gash, you get a cut, we still got to keep going. We still got to keep going. So yeah, so when you seen like Gerald when he was injured, everybody was uplifting him because you see an injury to like these big premier players on the team. You really don't see like people coming together to try to help them. You just leave them alone. But it wasn't in this game. We needed to win, so we just sucked it up and just went out there and just kept going, kept fighting.
Can you talk about what you saw in David Woodward's play, the strip and the run for the touchdown? Where were you at? What did you see?
I was on the far side, and I was covering somebody. So then when I realized, like when I turned around, then I seen like a big scrum, and I thought the referees were going to blow it, but they were still moving it because Colorado State, like I said, like they're a physical team. They want the extra yards. They're an amazing team. And I just seen Woody just strip the ball and run with it, and I was happy. I'm like, yeah, that's good. That's our blueprint. That's our defense right there, and we don't never stop.
How many guys are still in the program than when you got here? How many? Would there be 10 of you?
It's maybe less than that.
Maybe less than that, or
It's
so.
maybe about 5 of us, 4 of us.
How big is what's happened in this period of time, and how important is it to you of what's happened in the 5 years you've been here and stuff, Cam?
Well, throughout these 5 years, I felt like the biggest thing would be just continuing to grow and knowing where we were at 5 years ago to now. So that's the biggest thing, is knowing that we always been like a rocky. We'll have a good year, then okay year, then maybe a lower year, and then a great year. So now we've put it out to the world based on last season that we're good enough to win 11, 12 games. So now we have to match that this year. So I think we're doing a great job this year. So yeah, that's basically it. I just loved every moment. It's just ride it out with everybody. We a big family, so it doesn't matter like if I came here with 20 people and ended up with 2 people in my class. Like, it's just the Aggie family.
Are you 5 or 6 guys pretty close? The guys that came in together.
Yeah, we're all pretty close because it was a big class when I signed, and then majority of people, different things were happening in their lives and stuff where they had to leave the program, and I'm still in contact with those people that left. So, but now with the remaining 5 that we do have, we're all tight in. We have to carry this program because we're the last ones, and then it's the next class after that. So.
And it's always been, okay, we've got to take the next step, and that's to beat LSU or beat Wake Forest when you get a chance, like some of these other programs have maybe had a chance to do. That's why this game is your last chance, maybe at that this year, and your last chance in your career too.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like if I give it my all and put my best out there, I feel like not too many wideouts can handle that. So I feel like when we go out there in the LSU, this is nothing new to us. We understand that we have to finish games, and that's been our problems when we play versus Power 5 opponents. We always almost So now we're just gonna go to practice, look at the blueprint, take it slow, understand what we have to do, and that's to win the fourth quarter. So when we go out there to Louisiana, we would definitely have a different game plan. We would definitely have a different attitude, and we'll see what happens.
You definitely have some experience playing in big venues. I mean, you played at Washington in your freshman year, Wisconsin, Michigan State. How do you prepare some of these younger guys on the team for a game at Death Valley or a venue like that?
Well, I just tell them, like, in practice, just imagine that you're out there. Listen to the crowd. Listen to the 100,000 before you get there. So by the time you get there, when the lights is on, it's easy for you. So that's basically what I tell them. And another thing that I tell them is that, it's just you and your one-on-one matchup. Just do your job at the end of the day. The fans are there to distract you, but we have a big fan base here as well. So it's like, it's really nothing new. It's just a bigger place. I mean, the odds are bigger, but yeah, that's basically it. But I just make sure everybody else is just calm, collective, and just ready to do their job and execute.
How do you prepare individually for a morning kickoff? Do you have to do anything different for yourself to make sure you're ready?
No. I mean, since the summer, I've been imagining and dreaming of games like this. So whether we play at nighttime, whether we play in the morning, I always do my same sort of pregame rituals, so to say. And I always start that Monday with the mindset and understanding what I have to do that week. So now we're playing this early morning game. Some people might have like the morning, they might not have a morning rush, but I understand that LSU was there to win as well. So everybody needs to be up and ready and juiced. I really don't feel the need to be motivated by anybody. I mean, I just motivate myself, and I just care for my teammates that much. So it doesn't matter what time it is. When I step on the field, I just feel like I'm here for everybody, for our program, for Logan, for Utah State. So whatever time it may be, I'm ready.
What's it like being at Utah State for 5 years? Talk about your experience here.
My experience has been a very kind of a roller coaster, depending on the different seasons that we had, the past season. So, like my first year here, I felt like, I was just a freshman. I was 17. I was just trying to learn the system, what it means to really be an Aggie, trying to get out of the high school persona and step into a more collegiate role. And then that next year, we had a rough year, and I was able to play games, and I was able to be a part of some winning games that year when we went 3-9. And I felt like that year changed me for the better, because it made me more mature. It made me realize it made me realize more of the role that you have to play in a college team. So it's not all about just going out there and just making plays. It's about the film, the studies. It's about going and talking to your coaches. It's about putting the work in on the field and off the field. So it's about not just about talking about it, but working so hard that you don't have to talk. You don't have to talk at all. Others can see your work, and that speaks louder than anything to me. And then the next year I was able to play, and I was able to start and play games. We went 6-7, I think. Yeah, we lost in the New Mexico Bowl. I wasn't able to play that game, but that year was very good. And then next year we had a great year. I didn't really get to play as much that season. I was more of a they were moving me around in different spots, which I accepted. And now I'm here, and I'm flourished, and I feel like I'm in the best position in my life right now.
What's one thing that's changed about you that stands out in your mind from when you first got here as a freshman to today?
One thing that changed about me was just
on or off the field.
Okay, yeah. Okay, on the field, I would say just the mindset, like the psychological factor that goes into football. You know, I think a lot of people don't really grasp how psychological this game is rather than it being physical, because everybody can run. We're all Division I athletes. Everybody can run, everybody can catch, but not everybody has that psychological mindset that's strong enough to understand your opponent and how to defeat your opponent as well, and the person that you line up with. So I feel like my psychological mindset, more of the mental game, has risen to an all-time high. And then off the field, I just more of my social, because I come from Los Angeles, and it's a very social town, and this place is like less population. It's still social as well, but it's a different community. It's a different language. It's different dialogue. Everybody doesn't walk the same as how they walk back in California. They don't talk the same. So I felt like I was able to adapt. So off the field, this being very adapting.